Hi, I'm Corrine from Core Connection Pilates Studio in Regina, and we are going to go through our Stop Pilates basic principles and our mat warm-up. So this is a great thing to do before you get into your workout, or if you only have a short amount of time and just want to get moving, okay? So typically we're going to start with a little bit of breathing. You want to drop into your body, you want to focus on you, and just start to create a sense of mindfulness for your workout. So I'm going to just sit hugging my knees. I think I'm just going to lower the camera just a little further here and create a nice letter C-like shape with the body. As I'm breathing, I want to think about breathing into the back part of the body, inhaling through the nose and exhaling through the mouth. Simply just breathing. So you're going to want to take about 3 to 5 big full inhale and exhale. And as you're breathing, we want to create some movement in the rib cage in all directions. And that soft letter C-like shape is a really lovely way to think about breathing into the back part of the body. Another way you could do that is to just lie down on your mat. And when you're lying down, you want to perhaps put a pillow underneath your head and neck if you're feeling like you need a little bit of support. If you don't need any support, you're fine. Just lie down as you are. So here on the mat, I want to use the ground to help me sense the back of the ribs and just where my body is in space. I could do the same thoughtful breathing, inhaling through the nose, expanding in all directions. And then it's nice just to start to engage those abdominals a little bit further. So I like to think about activating my abdominals, hugging in gently as I breathe out. And when I breathe in, allowing that movement, that hydraulic expansion in all directions. Now from there, we usually move into an imprint to neutral. So it's nice to create a little space. You could landmark with the thumbs on the ribs and the fingertips on the hip bones. So I take that great big breath in. As I breathe out, I'm going to draw the tummy in, allow the pelvis to tilt, shortening the front of the body there. And then as I inhale, I return to my start position. So this is nice to do, thinking about the front body doing this work, rather than forcing this by squeezing your glutes or by shoving your back into the ground. So I like to think about that hug coming from the front of the body. So you could do between 5 and 10 repetitions of those. Again, just dropping in and sensing where you are in space and being very thoughtful about the center of your body. Keeping that nice tall feeling, going back to our neutral pelvis, which has the hip bones and the pubic bone in the same horizontal plane. And here there's likely going to be a little bit of a gap underneath your waist to allow for those natural curves in your spine. We're going to move into some hip releases. So I breathe in, allowing the thigh to drop to the side, and then sliding the leg along the ground, turning that leg bone in, and then dragging it back, okay? So as I'm moving this leg bone around in space, I want to be thoughtful about the pelvis and spine, making sure that I'm not allowing the hips to dramatically twist one way or the other, but also not being too terribly worried if there's a millimeter or two of movement, right? Sometimes there's a little bit of give and take between being stable, being too rigid, and being really sloppy. So we want to be mindful, we want to feel supported, we want to feel elongated, but don't feel like you can't move. You don't want to brace and lock yourself down. I'm also trying to move the leg bone, if it's appropriate for my hip and spine, through all of those planes of motion. So I'm going to inwardly or medially rotate the thigh. It's going to pass through parallel. It's going to externally rotate and come back. So you can do a few in each direction, 3 to 5 repetitions, maybe a few more if you feel like you need it. Now, sometimes I like to add in a few toe taps. So this is a great place to focus on that stability through your pelvis and spine. A basic option would be to keep one foot down on the mat and start to move the leg bone around without changing anything in your hips and spine. So the back shouldn't arch, or you shouldn't feel like you have to really tuck under to make that happen. You should be able to move your leg while you keep control through the rest of the body. A little bit more challenging would be to begin with both legs in the air, and you would do the same skill moving the leg down. So if you can't touch the floor to keep your stability, but maybe you could lower the leg an inch, half an inch, 3 inches, right?
How far can I go right before I feel like I need to move anything, okay? And then a more upgraded version for those of you that have been doing Pilates for a while would be to move both legs at the same time. Again, keeping that same control through the whole body. From there, I usually like to find some rotation, and side lying is a really great place to do that. You can lie with a yoga block or a pillow underneath your head and neck, or you can simply just support your head and neck with your arm. I have my hand cradling my skull here, so I have a lot of support. So I'm going to elongate my waist. I have the hips stacked. Inhale, reach your arm up to the ceiling. Now, once I've done that, I'm going to not really move the arm any further, but what does move is the spinal column. So I'm going to allow the rib cage to move and get that nice sense of rotation through the upper body. Pause here, take a nice big breath in. And then as I breathe out, I'm going to return to the start position. So again, I inhale, get that arm going. Exhale, find that lovely rotation. Stay here, take a great big breath in. And then as I breathe out, I return. Now, another version that I really enjoy doing is the bent elbow style. So here I'm going to inhale, bend the elbow, exhale, rotate the body, inhale to stay, and then to come back, I bend that elbow and reach. Now, if you want to add a little bit of a Zenga quality, instead of keeping the pelvis stacked, you can allow a little bit of a gentle rock here and even move beyond your neutral as you go forward and back. If you're just getting started, I'd recommend just keeping those basic principles steady with the pelvis stacked and focusing on that rotation. But those of you that have a little bit more experience, you can explore that extra rotation and that sense of reach through. It might feel really good. You're going to want to do both sides. Again, about 5 repetitions, okay? Now, next we're going to move into some cat stretches. So here I'm going to move my hands under my shoulders and then my knees underneath my hips. Inhaling, feeling nice and tall, setting my core. As I breathe out, I imprint those abs around that spine, moving nice and smoothly. Inhale to stay. And then as I breathe out, elongating that spinal column to one nice long line. So here we're just generating some movement. We're trying to go from a curl to an uncurled position. And I'd like you to also notice how the shoulder blades move. When I'm in a round position, the shoulder blades must slide forward to allow your upper spine to bend or flex. And then as you return to the start position, they're going to gently slide together and back again. Okay, from there, let's have a little lie down. Now this version, we're moving into some hip rolls. So you're going to want to make sure you have nothing underneath your head and neck when we bring the pelvis into the air, okay? So I take that great big breath in again. As I breathe out, I imprint my abdominals, so that's that skill we've already done. Then I squeeze the glutes. So I'm going to use my glutes that assist me to roll on up. Inhale to stay, all of my toes are spread out, grounded in the floor. And then I'm rolling that spine down again, one vertebrae at a time, finishing with that nice neutral pelvis. So it's an inhale to prepare, expand the lungs, expand the ribs. Exhale, hug those abs in, squeeze the seat, roll those hips up, bone by bone. Have that little pause, and then roll it back down again. So this feels really nice on the body. You get a little bit of work through the glutes and hamstrings, and again, developing that body awareness. I'd recommend, again, about 5 to 8 repetitions of that. Let's move into some work through the arms here. So I'm going to protract and retract the scapula. And here we want to mobilize, warm up, get those shoulders moving. I'm going to allow the scapula, the shoulder blade to slide forward. It's going to pass through neutral into a little retraction. Now, as I'm doing that, I want to minimize any arching of the back or poking out of the rib cage. So I should be able to move those arms without a whole lot changing in the body. And that might require a little bit of thoughtfulness or perhaps engaging those abdominals a little bit more. From there, let's reach those arms up as I breathe in and then circle them around and down. So here, this should feel really nice in the shoulder. If I'm getting any clicking or grinding, I might want to explore moving those arms at a slightly different angle, maybe adjusting that range of motion so I can find that smooth glide. Do a few going one way and then a few going the other. Again, being thoughtful about your spine and pelvis. You should be able to isolate this to the arm only. We're going to shrug the shoulders up and down. I lately like to have my thumbs pointing up, but you can have your hands on the floor one way or the other. just changing those angles, finding what feels nice on your body. So I inhale, elevate the scapula, shrugging up to my ears, exhale, lowering down, shrugging those shoulders up, and then lowering them back on down again. From here, allow those arms to relax. We're going to inhale, look down, and then exhale, look up. Just giving that head and neck a few little nods down. And this is the movement you'll always do when you're curling up off the floor to set that head and neck in a really nice position when we're going to curl up into our ab prep. So let's do a few of those. Keeping a neutral pelvis, inhale, head nod. Exhale, slide your ribs to your pelvis. Inhale to stay, hug those abs in more, and then exhale, lie back down. If you want a little bit more challenge, you can work with those abdominals connected further and bring your legs up to your tabletop. Inhale to head nod, exhale to curl up, a nice little pause, and lower down. Now, if you require a little bit of head support, hands can go behind the head. Maybe you even want to bring the elbows forward or play around with changing that angle. So sometimes a little bit of head and neck support feels really nice on the body there. Let's do one more. And this is a little spine extension. So I'm going to have my hands placed on the floor, set my core. Inhale, expand the spine up. The bottom ribs remain on the mat. Exhale to lower down. So really important to connect those abs, lift them away from the mat, find that ease in the shoulder, feeling nice and long and tall. Now the head and neck should flow from the spine. You want to avoid letting the head drop down. You can hear my voice has even changed, or even arching up. Again, my voice has changed there, okay? So you're going to imagine like there's a great big jumbo marble in front of the nose. You tap that marble with your nose, and then we expand upwards. It's like a backwards head nod to kick start that, and then lower down. So as many as you like there, 3 to 5 is usually about right. And then you're going to want to send those hips back into your shell stretch. Letting the head and neck relax. Your knees could be together or apart, and take a few really good breaths there. So that is a nice basic warm-up that you can do before you're going to get into any of your mat work, or if you just need a quick little break. I hope you enjoy that. Give it a try, and have a great day.